Welcome to the GM Yearbook. I'm Matt.
And I'm Jim.
We're here to take you on a journey through the years as we explore the music in our lifetime and the impact it's had on us and the world we've lived in.
Welcome to version 2011.
I hear crickets.
Hey, Matt, you just want to say our 5 songs and get out of here?
Can we?
Sure.
We can prattle on about our 5 and kill at least 20 minutes. So last call, folks. Don't forget to tip the staff. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Okay, Jim, you brought us here, and we've got to get through these final couple years in the 2000s. So we're sticking with the plan. More times than not, when we get into the later 2000s, it's been a pretty big mixed bag. I think at the very least, we should get past the Reaper part of the show, and then let's just see where it takes us.
You're right. Okay, 2011, I'll suck it up. Sadly, in 2011, the world lost another very talented artist to the 27 Club. Amy Winehouse was a tour de force.
She deserves to be in that club. She burns so bright, and I can't help but think about what she could have accomplished. That path of self-destruction we have to visit virtually every episode, and it kind of makes me sad.
Yeah, me too.
And then there's Janie Lane of Warrant. Again, here we go down that path. One of the last successful hair bands of the 80s, he fought addiction like so many before him. Warrant may have been late to the scene, but they burned pretty bright for a few years. They were one of those bands that had they come around maybe 3 or 4 years earlier, they could have reached, rare heights. Janie was the main writer in the band, and a few of them, those songs, they stuck around for me. Oddly enough, it may be a little embarrassing to admit it. Warrant may have been the band I listened to most this week because of how much material they put out that I never knew existed and I never listened to before.
That's Matt prepping for 2011.
Exactly. And was it all rewarding? No, but I can now say I listened to it and I have an opinion on it.
I respect that. And then we had Jerry Rafferty, and he might not be a worldwide household name, but everyone has heard Baker Street and Stuck in the Middle when he was with Steelers Wheel. He was a Paisley boy from just outside of Glasgow and liked to drink. Unfortunately, his liver did him in by the age of 62. I don't often use our Reaper moment to tell a story, but something happened recently I have to share, Matt. I was in Edinburgh a few months ago and I went on a whiskey tour. We wound up in this pub that was known for legendary folk performances. The host was talking about the history of everything that had gone on there before, and apparently it had been a famous folk music club back in the 1960s and early 70s, and Jerry Rafferty and Billy Connolly were a duo together that had performed there. The host asked if anybody knew who the Humble Bums were. Everyone sat silently, and I raised my hand sheepishly because I felt like the music nerd.
The Yank knows what's going on here.
I know who the Humble Bums are. It was something I learned from prepping for the very first episode of this show, version 1971. We were making a list of bands that had broken up that year, and the Humble Bums was on the list, and we had a laugh about that. So thank you, Matt. This show may have forever made me that guy.
We may be those guys, but I love learning useless facts like that. Whoever would have thought that one of the best comedians ever was in a band with the Baker Street guy? Come on. Now we know that, and we're armed for trivia night whenever. You never know when that question is going to come up. But all right, Jim, this is a fine mess we've gotten ourselves into. In 2011, I think it's fair to say that neither of us are really into what is hot in mainstream pop because of where our lives are. So I have a feeling most of today's discussion is going to kind of skirt that. And we're just going to talk about what we probably have a connection with and liked.
Yeah. And looking back on it, this was one of the most eventful years of my life, period. I talked in version 2010 about playing acoustic covers with my friend Mitch from April until the end of August in 2011. We had steady gigs almost every week. In June, I also joined a classic rock bar band and was singing everything from Journey to Twisted Sister. Then at the end of September, all of that ended. And I rebooted my entire life by getting up and moving to Scotland. Along with the big move, the entire landscape of music shifted around me.
Oh, I can only imagine what a shock that was. Yeah. Version 2010, that was a while ago, man. The versions we do in the 2000s, they tend to be where we talk more about what's going on in our lives. And I've appreciated those strolls down memory lane. life has gotten so fast, and I realize how much I've actually really forgotten what went on in my life during those years. I'm really thankful I've been able to have those memories come back to me. I remember playing a gig with you and Mitch in Shelburne. That was a lot of fun. And I never told you, mainly because I may not have realized it until we were actually playing, and true to our friendship, because after the show, we were once again completely out of each other's lives.
Bye,
And
Matt.
for a long time, I know we never even say goodbye. It's like the Irish goodbye. We're just gone. And doing the show, maybe the longest consecutive time span we've been in regular contact. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
But I realized how comfortable and natural you were leading the way. I left that night very impressed, and I was happy that I got to share the stage with you one last time.
Ah, we're going on a sentimental
Mental
journey.
journey. Oh, you got something in your eye?
Yeah, you're gonna make me blush. I may have drunkenly admitted this to you one night, but the mic wasn't recording, so I'll say it on record. In my pursuit of success as a musician, if I'd ever had a chance to put a band together from people in my life I've known, you were always going to be the bass player. Lenny is the drummer, and my friend Lindsay would play guitar. I played my last gig in 2011, and I'm glad I got to share a moment again with you.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, and I've heard you go on about those other two playing,
Mhm.
and they sound absolutely phenomenal. My life, though, it was still completely and entirely ruled by my kids in 2011. I was still getting out to jam with work friends once a week, making weird music about cult figures. The rest of my free time was spent coaching my kids' sports teams. So while the state of popular music may make me want to vomit, I wouldn't trade those years for anything.
Well, instead of pop music, let's just take a step back into the past. We haven't complained about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in quite some time. Tom Waits, Alice Cooper, and Neil Diamond get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2011. How the fuck did it take this long for these guys?
They're all kind of misfits. They don't really fit in anywhere. They're doing
Yeah.
their own thing. Alice Cooper may be the one that fits the most musically, but I don't think the Hall of Fame thinks what they do is the best. I think the Hall of Fame likes to think they're above what maybe he would do performance wise, and screw them.
Mhm.
They're wrong. Alice Cooper's great. And people probably think Tom Waits and Neil Diamond aren't rock, but neither are Eminem, Jay-Z, LL Cool J, Biggie, any of the rappers that they put in. That class also included Leon Russell and Dr. John, all talented and more than deserving. And it kind of feels like they decided to have some makeup calls in 2011 because those guys have been around for much longer than their 25 years and should have been in sooner, especially Neil Diamond. He should have been in the first year he was eligible. Look up Paul Simon's induction speech of Neil Diamond. He noted that Neil's first hit, Cherry Cherry, was in 1966.
Wow.
Neil Diamond's 25 years was up in 1991. Paul Simon asked, "What took so long?" I don't know if he was joking, but he had a theory consisting of 6 words. "You don't bring me flowers anymore." He said they do not allow Barbara Streisand's kind of DNA into the Hall of Fame.
No, they don't.
And I looked it up. Barry Manilow's not in there either. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
I'm,
come
I'm
on, man.
surprised.
Barry needs to be there. He a songwriter, he's made it, but he needs to be there as a performer as well.
He wrote jingles for McDonald's.
Yeah, he did. Come on, the guy's talented. This is the shit that makes our blood boil about the Hall of Fame. Neil Diamond is a one of a kind, awesome singer songwriter, great performer, and it's a travesty he wasn't in sooner. Listen to Hot August Nights or Love at the Greek, two absolutely phenomenal live albums, and prove me wrong that he's not incredible. And the amount of great songs he has written is not deserving of being in the Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. Listen to his acceptance speech. He knows the absurdity of it all. He didn't even prepare a speech.
That's awesome. I know that this is a podcast, so that people aren't necessarily going to get all the visuals, but go Google the album cover for Hot August Nights,
Oh,
and that
yeah.
alone belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of
Yeah,
Fame.
it does,
So,
man. Come
yeah,
on. Hey, it's
it's
better
a
than
great.
some of the creepy album covers I've seen.
Yeah, it is. All right. So for modern music that was coming out in 2011, you could not have avoided Adele. Come on. The album 21 was
Huge.
humongous. Every icon has an album that raises them to this status. and this was the one for her.
Adele couldn't have come at a better time. In a sea of Rihanna's, Beyonce's, and Kelly Clarkson's, she was the breath of fresh air. What a fantastic, powerful, and natural voice that she just burst onto the scene with music that nobody was putting out at the time. And another person who was around that just burst onto the scene, Ed Sheeran. He's probably going to make some people feel really old. His debut album was in 2011. It's now 2023. Anyone born in 2011 is in middle school now and has most likely heard Ed Sheeran their whole life, thanks to their moms.
And anybody who was listening to Ed Sheeran in 2011 probably has 3 kids if they were in middle school at that point. They are moms now.
Yeah.
Yeah. A-Team and Lego House were all over the place in late 2011.
And they're good songs. They deserve to be.
Yeah. And it went right into 2012 over here. We talked about how Ed evolved through the 2010s, but this album was his major label debut. He independently released an album called Number 5 Collaborations Project in 2011. Don't know where 1 through 4 went.
It's like Star Wars Episode 4.
Exactly. Well, he may have been a stormtrooper in Star Wars. So
Maybe, episodes 1 through 3, when they come out, they're probably going to suck just like the Star Wars ones did.
But going back to this independent release, each song includes working alongside a different British rap artist, and it's actually pretty good. He always knew his direction that he was going to go to from the start. He just needed those radio-friendly hits off the label debut to pave the way for him.
Yeah, and I can't deny the dude's got a great voice, and he's a good songwriter.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does. So moving on from what's big, 2011, I'm deep into indie bands, and the ones leading the way for me personally are Noah and the Whale and Fleet Foxes, with a little dose of Bon Iver and City and Color. And I don't know if Foster the People was a thing in Europe in 2011, but in my corner of the world here in Vermont, they were one of the hottest bands. You could not escape them. Pumped Up Kicks and Don't Stop were everywhere on the radio.
Oh, they were over here. I knew it before coming over, but I definitely remember seeing their name on some bills, and they were touring here at least for a few years after 2011. But something that probably would have seemed more indie at the time actually became a global phenomenon.
Oh, I think you're talking about the unlikely hit, Somebody I Used to Know by Gautier.
I remember when it was first being played, telling Linda, turn the radio up.
Yeah.
Something about it
Great
intrigued
song.
me. Yeah. After about 5 million plays a month later, I was changing the station.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see if it makes the poll or if people are still fatigued by it. It has 2 billion plays on YouTube and almost 1.5 billion on Spotify. And it was the #1 song in 46 countries on iTunes at one point.
Oh, shit. That's
you
huge.
could hate on it all you want, but it's the very definition of a smash hit.
Yeah, and hopefully the guy just can look at his bank account based on that one song and go, "Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
would do it all over again."
Yeah.
And then LMFAO. The members are related to Berry Gordy, the founder of Motown. That's a great lineage.
Yeah, it is.
But they decided to party rock. Every day I'm shuffling. This is tough because of the Motown link, but they legit look like they were having a blast. So I'm not going to complain about them. And they created a couple anthems. It made people shake their asses.
I'm sexy and I know it.
That's right. I mean, they were having fun.
Yeah, these guys were great fun. Music can be fun. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm happy to have songs that I can just get up at a wedding or somewhere foolish and dance around to and lose all pretentiousness. And that's the kind of music these guys brought to the table. They did it better than anyone else in 2011.
And I'm sure at weddings, wouldn't you rather hear this than maybe YMCA for the 1000th time?
Yeah, well, listen to 1978 last week, and you know how I feel about that. All right, here we go. Bad transition alert. There was a sexy ukulele album in 2011. I only discovered Eddie Vedder's Ukulele Songs album a couple of years ago. Exactly as it's described, it's Eddie and a ukulele. but this really shows that he can still write great songs with meaningful lyrics. I really enjoyed it. I
That
would
is,
recommend going and checking it out.
yeah, that is such a great album. There's something about the pitch of his voice, the tone of it, with it paired with a ukulele. There's just, it feels authentic. Pretty much everything he does.
Yeah, I'm happy it wasn't just Eddie and an acoustic guitar. I
Yeah,
think taking it to a ukulele gives it the uniqueness that his voice has and just presents it in a way that draws you in differently than trying to sound like Neil Young or something like
yeah,
that.
it helped add maybe a layer of intimacy to it.
Yeah.
That an
Yep.
acoustic guitar probably would have just been, like you said, kind of old hat, something
Hmm.
we've heard 100 times before.
Yeah. Yep.
And it feels like we haven't visited rap in a while. There are some
No, we
artists
haven't. Yeah.
starting out that would come later to me down the road. Childish Gambino, Kendrick Lamar, and Mac Miller, all thanks to my kids. And they just so happen to be starting out around the same time. I don't know if there's anything in the entertainment industry Donald Glover hasn't done. He was a couple seasons into Community when his major label debut Camp was released. Sometimes it kind of feels like he can dip into parody of the genre because there's no shortage of lines that kind of make me chuckle or make me feel like he's just pointing out something that people always, rail about against rap. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't like songs like Bonfire and Heartbeat. He does a thing with music that even if some of the lines make me go, "Oh, that's kind of weird." There's just something, he knows how to make great music.
Yeah, he's fantastic as an entertainer, and I think he has a great sense of self-awareness, and
Mm.
that's what you're bringing up there. He knows what's going on around him, and it's apparent in what he brings to music.
Yeah, thanks for putting it that way because I think that was the line I was looking for as far as, parody didn't feel right, but I think self-awareness is probably a little bit more accurate.
Yep, yep.
And I appreciate the work Mac Miller did later in his career, but I can't deny the talent he showed on Blue Slide Park. And my appreciation of his earlier work grew after talking to Owen. He had a big Mac Miller phase. I think he's still kind of there more out of the research he's done on his own into his story, and there's just a respect there. And we visited Frick Park in Pittsburgh last year. The nickname of it is Blue Slide Park, which is what this album was named after.
That's
It,
cool.
yeah. So yeah, listen, especially it's a good album. I mean, I prefer, like I said, I prefer Circles and maybe something else, but you can't deny the talent. And Kendrick Lamar, he's got to be considered rap royalty now. I He is the one that when you go on the message boards or anything, you always hear people talking about Kendrick Lamar. Spoiler, I got a Kendrick song in my five, so I'll kind of split my time talking about him. Rap is often at its best when there's an element of social commentary, and there's no shortage of it on Section 80.
All right, Matt, I've had a look at the notes, and you're about to make our friend Sandy very proud. So, looking at 2011, give us one more
Oh.
insight to the music that was going on.
So when we're going into 2011, I assumed, and I'm sure you did too, that I'm just going to be listening my ass off to a bunch of moody indie bands. Instead, I ended up listening to rap and something we talk even less about, metal.
Metal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Joey Belladonna, he returned to Anthrax and they didn't miss a beat. Even with John Bush, they were making great music. He did a great job singing, but having Joey back in the fold just felt right. Mastodon narrowly missed my five this week. A lot of new metal tests our patience with the overuse of double bass drum and the screaming or growling vocals. Their album, The Hunter, works in so many ways. They balance out some great melody work and screaming, and they continue adding different textures as the album progresses within the songs themselves. The drumming, it's phenomenal. It's not too centric in the songs, so they don't take up too much space in the soundscape. And here we go. Here's another blast from the past in the 80s. Any Skid Row fan listening should check out Sebastian Bach's album, Kicking and Screaming. His voice is surprisingly in top form, leading the way in songs you would expect from Sebastian Bach.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I took this recommendation when I saw your notes this week, and I was really surprised. It was better than I expected. I was going to prejudge that shit going in.
Oh, I did too.
But
Low expectations help.
they do. But you're right. His vocals were still very strong. Okay, Matt. So before we get to our 5, because that's coming up, you had a sappy moment about us playing together in 2011. And I'm going to return that sentiment for a minute. I said earlier in 2011 that I played my final gig. It was a fun night, amazing. We closed the show with Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds, very appropriate. And then it seemed like we were done. I stepped back from the mic, told everyone that it was my final show and that I was leaving for Scotland. But then I stepped back up to the mic and I started a big sing along of leaving on a jet plane. And I sold the guitar off my back right there on the stage.
Oh, wow.
After years of trying to get out and entertain people, I'd spent the last couple of years in Burlington really kind of doing it. And that night felt like the end of a movie for me, the end of the story that I wanted to be part of. When I moved to Scotland, I decided I wasn't going to keep pursuing music. I was just done lugging stuff around, and thinking about starting over seemed like too big of a task. But a couple of years back, I started to get this itch. I needed an outlet, and it needed to involve music. That's what doing this show has been for me. It replaced what I've been missing since 2011. So, Matt, thank you. Out of all my friends over the years, other than also picking you as being my bass player, I wouldn't have picked anyone else to be on this journey with. I may have been the leader in the band, but I have a lot of admiration for how we make our decisions for this show mutually.
Oh, now it's my turn to have something in my eye. Oh, that was nice. Thank you. And
You're
you're
very
right.
welcome.
This has been because I do have guys that I jam with, but I only get to go over there every couple weeks. And this has been that continual creative outlet that I think everybody should have in their life, but I definitely feel it.
Well,
You
it
know,
gives us purpose to listen to music again. And
yeah.
that's something I haven't felt since I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I think people get lazy when they're getting older and they just rely on,
The old hits.
yeah, and they don't revisit, and they make playlists of, certain songs they like, but it's very rarely that they pick up on new music or dig deeper into past years and find little golden nuggets that they didn't know before. And that's what we're able to do through doing this show.
We've learned of new favorites,
Yeah, we have.
which is awesome. I feel like it's gotten us out of that trench that we can kind of get into that rut. And yeah, we've turned each other on to some great music over the
Yeah,
last
we
year and
have.
a half. So yeah, it's been
Yeah, it's
great.
been great. Yeah, it's been awesome. So, speaking of digging into that music, we need to get on to our 5, and 2011 was my choice. So you want me to go first, of course?
I demand it. Yes.
All right. I'm going to start with Manchester Orchestra. Talked about them a little bit around this era and other years. They are a great band from this time. The song is Simple Math. I think I've waited for the entire run of this show over a year now to add this song to the playlist. When we first started the show and I was digging through, what songs am I going to add? I'd pass by this one and I'd be like, yeah, that's definitely going to be a song that I'm going to bring to the playlist at some point. It was a shoe-in for me. I don't have any huge sentimental attachments to it. I just think it's a fantastic, moody song.
A lot of times during the week, we text each other to the point where I'm worried that I'm annoying you. But with between not just comments but videos and Spotify songs, but you texted me this video and I checked it out, and when I visited it again this week, I knew I had seen it before, and and I went through like all our different episodes. I'm like, I could have swore Jim put a Manchester Orchestra song in his 5 before, or maybe it was
Mhm.
just a passing conversation. So I gave up looking because we have too much stuff to sort through. And I just said, you know what? I know he's brought him up before. I don't know what version, but you made me go down a rabbit hole with them, and they're a really good band. With all the indie bands I was listening to, I was surprised I hadn't found them until you brought them up.
That was probably 2008 or 2009, and the song was All My Friends. Just so you know.
Oh, problem. Thank you. Jeez.
Yes.
You know I obsess, so you know how that was probably bugging me.
All right. So what's your first song, 2011?
I'm going to go with Cage the Elephant and Shake Me Down. I don't know how Cage the Elephant is regarded, but they should be considered one of the best current rock bands. They understand dynamics and how to give songs room to breathe and develop. Matt Schultz is an amazing frontman. This is an old school rock band. It took me a while to come around to them because, I'm an old asshole and Cage, but Cage the Elephant, they got the goods.
I remember this playing on the Buzz the summer I was leaving Vermont, and I liked it a lot. They don't have the same following over here, so I've never really had the chance to see them or hear more of what they've done, but I've only ever heard great things about their live performances. This song brought back good memories, driving around in my car, doing all those gigs, having the radio on. So thanks for sharing it. Good stuff.
Yeah, I never turn them up. All right. What is your second song?
My second song is going to be Florence and the Machine, Shake It Out. This might be my complete fight song. I've talked a lot about fight songs in the show. You're the one who actually pointed it out to me that I've got this theme going, but I've run with it. Florence's lyrics can be so powerful that if I hear them in the right moment, the self-reflection of it causes me to break down a little inside. I know that's not the best way to be, but I internalized a lot of my emotions during life's toughest moments. Learning to shake it off, like the title of this song, is a survival skill that I've realized I've discovered over the years. And when I hear this song, I'm reminded of how much I've stored away. So that's as deep as I'm going to get. Sorry if that's a little bit, but this song really hits me right in the deepest place inside. It can make me tear up when I hear it sometimes. It's one of my favorite songs.
It's weird how songs about letting go of your demons actually make you confront them a little. Instead of just letting it go, you start staring them right in the face. There's just some baggage we keep forever. We just have
Yeah.
to embrace that and admit that it's going on. If this song gives you an emotional reaction, then it's helping you let go of some of it. It's letting you face it and get it out so it doesn't keep building.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with a song that speaks to your inner soul.
That's what music's for.
It is.
Not all music. I doubt Every Day I'm Shuffling really speaks to somebody's heart, but
No, you got a good point. Party rock
yeah.
is not speaking to your soul. That's fine. All right. What's your second song?
All right, my second is going to be Bon Iver and Holocene. I know Bon Iver is not your cup of tea, Jim, but in 2011, it was definitely my jam. When I listen to a song as many times as Holocene, it's got to be in my five. It may not hold the same impact it does now as it did back then, but there's a visual counterpart, the video, that is mesmerizing. 4 years ago, I went to Iceland. One of our tour stops along the southern coast in the Vik region was a black sand beach. As soon as I got off the tour bus, I knew I had seen this before. It was one of the scenes in the video. All the landscape I saw when I was there, and especially that day, that kind of landscape is just beautiful to me. But this beach still stays with me to this day. One of the lines in the song stuck in my head as I walked along the shore and took pictures of Owen and his friends climbing in the basalt columns. And at once I knew I was not magnificent.
Oh, Matt, Bon Iver. Now I have something in my eye. You help me appreciate Bon Iver as the show's progressed. As far as being your jam, I'm trying to figure out how much jamming is going on with Bon Iver. But that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Dark it's dark, it's
Yeah,
nighttime, and it's
yeah,
winter, and you got the
yes,
headphones on and you're just
yeah,
vibing. That's all.
yeah. This is salty jam, people. It's not sugary.
Yeah.
Yeah. This song didn't surprise me because he has a distinct style. I've recognized this through the show and as you brought me other songs of his, and I liked it. It was good. I find it really calming and can see how it can help slow down a chaotic day. And to continue the lyric you started, hauled far away from the highway aisle, jagged vacants thick with ice, I could see for miles, miles, miles. I can definitely see how this directs you to that specific memory on the beach.
Oh yeah, I can't forget it. I watch the video frequently, and it helps
I'm not
bring back the
surprised.
memories.
Yeah,
It's awesome. This is a good
that's
time.
good. My third
All
song,
right. Your third song. Bring it away.
brace yourself,
Braced for
Matt.
impact, Captain.
Yes. My song is Beyonce's Love on Top. OMG. Is Jim bringing a Beyonce song to the playlist?
You're
You're damn
goddamn
right
right.
I am. Yeah. It's not about her performance here though. It's the song. It's a fantastic piece of pop R&B. It's an intentional throwback to the 80s, and the song incorporates four key changes at the end that really makes it swing. She was actually inspired to write the song while she was playing the role of Etta James. So I've got to have a little respect for what she was probably listening to at the time that made her go into the studio to produce this. We like to give a lot of the biggest stars of music a lot of shit most of the time, but this is a class A composition.
You just wanted to make me listen to Beyonce this week, didn't you? Payback for making you listen to Bon Iver.
Yeah, there you go.
Because of the throwback sound, I tried to put myself back in a time when I wouldn't turn this kind of song off. Damn, this is such a happy song. It's hard to hate on it. And if you watch the video, yeah, it just embraces happiness and having a good time.
Yeah, it's a fun song. It's good. It feels like old soul, and that's what I like about it.
Yes.
Yep. All right, what's your next one?
Well, my next one is going to be Bronze Radio Return. They make a return to my 5 with the song Shake, Shake, Shake. Jim, I'm giving you some stomps and claps to jive to this week. Indie Me was all over Bronze Radio Return, and they are one of the bands that's kind of stayed with me through the years. Some of my indie stuff back in the day, I can't return to because of that moodiness or because I start to see the flaws in it now. But I return to these guys all the time. They're timeless songs. They can fit into any era.
Yeah, these guys reminded me kind of Passenger, if you know who he is from over here,
Yeah.
which is great music. I guess it's a theme now that I like good stomp and clap beats.
Yeah.
The song picks up that beat and it carries the song. It's definitely the backbone. I had to look these guys up because I thought they were British. That's how they sounded to me. But nope, these are just some regular guys from Connecticut.
Yeah. Weird, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Jim, what is your next song?
All right. My next song, well, we might have a little tear in our eye talking about this next one. It's the Beastie Boys, Make Some Noise. We didn't know at the time that this came out that a year later we'd be losing MCA. He features so well in this song. And I think the sound of it brings us back to the early days of the Beasties when they were at their best. The video is incredible.
Phenomenal.
I specifically remember getting a message one night on Facebook in 2011, and you were sending me a link of it. I think it was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden I was up late, and here comes a link from Matt sent through to me. But who knew the world needed a sequel to Fight for Your Right to Party? And also, you had in the video Will Ferrell playing cowbell,
Yeah.
so it couldn't get any better than that. This album was their last release. And I think this song sent them off in their signature, entertaining, and incredibly talented style.
That video and the song, I mean, we should more embrace the song, but that video kicks so much ass. There's so many cameos. When they first are coming out of the apartment with Fight for Your Right to Party playing, it's all smoky, and you think, oh, it's the guys. They're older looking, but they maybe put a wig on them to maybe make them look like they're from back in the day. But as they're coming down the stairs, you're like, wait, is that Seth Rogen and Elijah Wood of all people?
Uh-huh.
And then when they come on the street, I'm like, fuck, that's Danny McBride. That dude catches me off guard with just about everything he does and makes my inner adolescent sense of humor comes out. And Elijah Wood especially did a great job.
Oh, he is the ace right there in that video.
He definitely is. And it was really unexpected. I didn't think he had that kind of thing in him. But they did the Beastie Boys performance style justice.
Yeah, they did. It was awesome. So I really can't wait to have that song come around on the playlist.
No, that's a great fucking song.
Yeah. All right. So what is your fourth song?
Well, we talked about him earlier. I'm going to go with Kendrick Lamar and ADHD. We've sung Kendrick's praises before, but I don't know if we've really done him justice. I don't know if we're able to give him justice. we have our own view on rap. So maybe somebody a little bit younger could probably, embrace it a little bit more. But I keep finding myself drawn to what he does. He's got a really interesting flow. And obviously, if it wasn't for my kids, I never would have heard his name probably. When a rap song can make me tune out 808s and actually I like what they're doing, it's a good song. And he takes on, as I was saying earlier, the social commentary. And this is, he's talking about drugs and the high drug tolerance of
Mm-hmm.
maybe a different generation coming up.
Yeah, musically, I'm cool with the song. Lyrically, I'm confused by
Yeah.
it because unless I'm rolling blunts, drinking bottles, and popping pills, I don't really know how to relate to it.
And that's
I
part of the
guess,
thing why we need a younger audience member to come in and give
yeah,
us that backbone.
that perspective of no, it's not about being that person. It's almost a critique or an observation that's
Yes.
not positive, but it doesn't come across that way. And that's an important part of the music for me. But yeah, Kendrick Lamar, he became the king, and this is a good start to his rise. And we've already added some more songs by him to the playlist from the years to come. I don't know if it's something I'll always let play through when it comes on the playlist when I'm listening to it, but I do think it's a good one for the car when I'm on long distance rides. The beat and the music I really like.
Yeah, a lot of his songs aren't for immediate gratification. Some of them you have to really take in.
Yeah, you got to go back to a few times.
Yeah.
All right, my last song.
All right, Jim, what is your last song? How are you gonna tie this bow on this box of 2011?
Well, I'm going to tie it on with a guy who went solo in 2011. Well, he went solo a couple of years earlier, but didn't put his album out until 2011. And that's Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. The song is AKA What a Life. After the breakup of Oasis, Noel Gallagher took a few years to put his new sound together. Even though it still sounds like him, the songs on this album stepped away from what I would think was his safe Oasis songwriting formula. This single came out 4 days after I arrived in Scotland. Listening to it this week brings me right back to the first month or so I was living here, arriving in a new country, experiencing all kinds of new things, and the chorus, what a life, going on, what a life, served as part of my life soundtrack at that time.
Writing good music, annoyingly, seems effortless to him.
Yeah.
I'm never really like blown away by what I hear, but I'm never turned off. It did seem like when he took over the reins in Oasis that it didn't feel natural, but what he does with the Flying Birds does feel
Yes.
natural, like it's
Yep.
coming straight through him. And the piano reminds me of 1985 by Paul McCartney and Wings. And that's a good thing because I really love that song. I really like the mood on this song. Great,
Yeah.
great choice.
Yeah, I'm glad you do. It's a good tune. Happy to have it on the playlist. All right, your last song from 2011. What's it going to be?
I'm going to wrap it up with Raphael Sadiq and Heart Attack. Any Tony fans out there? Check out anything Raphael Sadiq does. This song has an urgency. The guitar at the beginning grabs my attention, and his voice is absolutely heavenly. This is old school soul. When people say they don't make music like they used to, tell them they're wrong. Listen to Raphael Sadiq. His music brings me to my happy place.
Yeah, hey, right here, Tony
Yeah,
fan.
I know.
I'm one of them. And I didn't know who he was or that he was still putting out music. And what a treasure to bring to the playlist this week. Thank you, because I really enjoyed it. I had a guy here named Tony, and I always used to say, Tony has done it again. Every day at work, I'd walk up to him and say that. He had no clue what I was talking about, but they were a great band back in the day. And it's great to have this song, as I said, on the playlist. It's really good. It definitely throwbacks with vibes of Isaac Hayes and Sly Stone.
Oh,
Like
definitely.
you said, it's
Yes.
got that old school soul sound.
Yeah.
And it's good to be reminded that this kind of music is still being made when radio ignores most of it these days.
And like with when you were saying that you had saved Manchester Orchestra, I had been waiting to bring Rafael Sadiq. And there's been a couple of the years afterwards, I'm like, shit, I missed my chance, but I wasn't going to miss it again.
It's a good one. I'm glad. And to be honest, now that you've said that, I will go check out some more of his stuff because I'm definitely interested.
Great.
I wouldn't have picked you to be a Tony guy, knowing you in high school.
You know, I'm not a Tony guy. I'm not.
Well,
but
you
what
already brought one of
Raphael,
their songs. You brought one of their songs.
I know, I have. Well, yeah, I don't completely write him off, but this soul that he brings with his solo stuff it just gets me. It's in my wheelhouse. I love it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Well, okay, Matt, I picked this amazing year of 2011. To be honest, it was better than I anticipated it was going to be going into it. And I'm glad we didn't burn it earlier compared to some of the other years in the 2000s that we could be left with.
Yeah. And part of that is because we embraced what we found that we liked. We didn't dwell on the negative.
And we also realized that some of the stuff that was popular that came out in 2011 wasn't necessarily so bad. It wasn't the worst of the pop years in music and stuff that was going on.
Oh, yeah. If Ed Sheeran is like the worst, then give me that any day.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's no Disney princess. Dude writes his own stuff. He's got a great voice. He's a good performer.
But he sings to Disney princesses, and that's what makes him incredible in what he does.
That was Jim, not me being negative.
I'm not negative. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Where are we going next, Matt? What's the next year we're going to go to?
Join us next week as we explore experimental jazz, I guess. I don't know where we're going.
What? Huh?
Yeah. No.
Experimental jazz.
We have one more year in the 2000s left, and I think we should get it out of the way because I know us in the years that we have left, the 80s and the 70s and the 90s, they're going to be magnificent for us. So let's finish up the 2000s, and we're going to go to version 2003.
Oh, I don't have a clue what I'm going to talk about for version 2003. A lot of shows, I've got some anticipation of what's going to go on. And coming to 2011, at least I knew what was going on in my life. I think 2003 is one of those rut years for me, but we'll find out.
It is a huge rut year for me because Max was born in late 2002. And I know I was really digging into classic country. So I have virtually no idea what is going on in popular music, except for what I dug back into later in the 2000s.
I will look forward to you complaining to me about the stuff that you don't like as we prep for the show.
There could be plenty.
I think there's some stuff already that I've seen, so I'm looking forward to it. But guess what? It's your turn to wrap it up this week.
Yes, I will wrap it up. And we want to thank everybody for tuning in yet again to the Jam Yearbook. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page and to take part in our polls. We're also on Instagram. There's no shortage of the Jam Yearbook to go around, so feel free, give us a search, and you'll find us.
Yes, you will. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. We look forward every single week to bringing a show to you. Please check out our social media. We've pleaded about this before, but we do appreciate all of the engagement that we've been getting.
Yes, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow anything that helps us to maybe reach new people.
Yes, absolutely. Because you know what? There's no stopping us now. We're going to keep going.
Do you want to sing a song, Jim?
No, I want to say peace, love, and harmony.